Before starting this part, the feedback indicates that I need to stop and discuss something prematurely, because it doesn't matter if I save something for the end if people don't watch it till the end. To begin, I want to share that I found Karen Traviss' entire approach to Star Wars to be distasteful. Glorifying a culture around killing people while describing the Keepers of the Peace with legitimate preternatural powers as spoonbenders is not my thing at all. I do not particularly like Mandalorian culture, and frankly I find their made-up language primitive and uninspired. I still thought The Mandalorian was a great show, though, and not just because of Baby Yoda. But immersion in the Mandalorian culture is part of the bounty hunter experience, so it comes baked in. You have to accept it. What the SWTOR series that I've been presenting has been doing is to follow 3 basic rules. 1. You are the hero of the story. 2. Your heroism must fit the story told. 3. Your heroism must also present a thematic commentary upon the story. The agent had Rex Dart as the hero. His story was serving as an asset by the Empire, betrayed by the Empire, and forced to defeat a conspiracy against the Empire that had betrayed him. The theme was that the Empire was a fundamentally broken system that must change or will collapse. Rex killed the Jedi and undermined the Sith, who had treated him as a tool to be used and discarded in furtherance of their own agendas, no matter what effect that would have had on him. The Inquisitor had Sho Winter as the hero. Her story was of someone treated as subhuman who rose above all that in a system stacked against her every step of the way, first as a slave, then as an apprentice, then as a Sith Lord on the run. The theme was that in a system run by madmen, one has to embrace madness in order to survive. Winter used chaos and madness as a means of self-defense, considered what others would normally not do because the alternative was death, either fast or slow. The warrior had Angela Ripley as the hero. Her story was someone who was taken as a blunt tool by an ambitious man, used to further his own ambitions, and rewarded with a betrayal that she would repay by destroying him. The theme was that when you have been forced to confront your own mortality, it changes your outlook, makes you reconsider assumptions, and assess who you are and what you want to be. Ripley showed that she followed neither the light nor the dark. She created her own morality. Ripley seems to be the most popular of the 4 simply because this nuance which I was going for is the most prominently on display. Many have commented to me specifically about the fact that choosing to demonstrate a willingness to kill 3 soldiers but not needing to go through with it, rather than actually killing many numbers of times that soldiers to achieve her ends, was something they had never considered as a light side option. And the answer is, it's not a light side option, it's her moral choice of what is the best option. It just happens to also further her own ends best. The bounty hunter has the Lone Rose as the hero. His story is of a bounty hunter looking to make it into the big time, even if some blood must be shed along the way. The Lone Rose is a member of a subjugated second-class race who must be the best there possibly is in order to be even given permission to try to prove worthiness. He is smarter, craftier, more observant, and more skilled than any of his would-be peers, yet has never been seen as anything other than a filthy animal. Terrell Blood was merely the last in a long line of people to call someone who was physically and mentally superior to him unworthy. The Lone Rose finds Mandalorian culture itself distasteful. It is a primitive, blunt instrument to a man who prefers a scalpel. But it is the only culture willing to entertain the possibility of recognizing him. Better to be respected among savages than be treated as a pet by the cultured. For the Mandalorians, killing the Jedi Master is justice for the lives he has taken. The destruction of the ship is a test of one's mettle. Mandalorians go against foes to judge their own worth. If the Lone Rose had had his way, as he made clear, he'd have spent a month planning this, taken the Jedi alive, and preferably not killed a single person in the process. He made his philosophy very clear to Mako. You don't take a life if you don't have to, because whatever the moral issues you have about it, taking lives creates trouble. It brings down the law and brings down people looking for revenge. The Mandalorians invite that. The Lone Rose just sighs and shakes his head at it. He wanted to play chess. They insisted it was a mixed martial arts match. For him, the idea that you should work to achieve a good death is pointless. The only thing a good death earns is 8 feet by 2.5 feet on a plot of land, and maybe not even that much. This viewpoint fits the theme of the bounty hunter's story, which is what the Jedi Master had said. Revenge profits no one. But what is vengeance and what is justice depends upon the eye of the beholder. To the Jedi Master, the Mandalorians wanted revenge. To them, it was about justice. The Jedi now chasing me claims that it's justice, but thematically, it is clearly revenge. Everything that you are hearing from the Lone Rose is solely his own point of view on events. He is the hero of his own story, and in his story, he has been kicked into the street and then looked down on for lying there. He has never ever seen the Republic use any of its force in the name of justice for him, but suddenly they are willing to do so against him. You may not agree with his point of view. It's understandable. But it is his story. And the Jedi Knight will still get his turn in the next story. Yeah, I was going to save that, but again, it doesn't do any good putting something at the end if people don't stay until the end. So with that, back to Hoth.
This is unexpected. I greet you on behalf of the Chiss Ascendancy, Bounty Hunter. I am Aristocker Shorehand Milithier. This hollow frequency hasn't had an inquiry in quite some time. I believe there were no longer any interested parties.
Maybe it's because we could talk better if we had 2 cans and a fishing line in between. Why don't I come down there and talk to you about this? What I gather is that there's this big-wig pirate guy, a Trandoshan by the name of Voss, that has to be dealt with. The White Maw is creating a big problem, and the Empire is helping out a bit in their general dicking around with the Republic down here. So I've got to find a way to get in there and deal with this guy to pull this particular thorn out of their ass. I said the Lone Rose was smart and cunning. I never said he was classy. Thanks to the credentials we're provided, the Lone Rose and Galt are able to head down to Hoth and begin this investigation. There's a prisoner, so we can head there and maybe start doing some interrogation. Rough or smooth, we'll have to see how this goes with this Jawa.
It's slipped out of its cell 6 times since the patrols brought it in. Don't ask me how. Never makes a run for it, though. Just noses around and starts taking things apart. It's driving me crazy. You
know, I really thought the galaxy'd run out of ways to surprise me by now.
Well, he does know style when he sees it. He's got that going for him. After getting a little handsy with my blaster, he finally explains what's going on. He and a bunch of other Jawas joined a crew coming out here, and he wound up getting tricked by one of the other Jawas into taking some stuff. Well, Voss got really pissed off about this and sicked all of the others on poor Blizz here, who had to run away, and now is here, with the opportunity to really consider his life choices that have landed him in this cell. Except he's more interested in studying all the tech around him. He's really great at escape except for that one last step, the part where you actually leave. Anyway, thanks to his information, we at least know where we can start looking for this guy. Couldn't have been in a coffee shop, could it? No, had to be in a cave full of abominable snowmen. After fighting our way through Build-A-Bear gone horribly, horribly wrong, we finally find the target. Okay, well, it's entirely possible I was hired by PETA. But their money spends the same as anybody else's. As I walk up, he is, as expected, quite snide, convinced that we're nothing but carrion eaters, and that he will never, ever suffer the shame of being captured. This has to do with the whole scorekeeper thing that he was talking about. Apparently, the Trandoshans believe in a scorekeeper that tabulates all of the successful hunts that you do of any kind, all that glory that you collect. But if you get captured, your score gets reset to 0. This guy's got a massive number, and he is not going to give it up. He also is convinced he's awesome, and I'm not. So he just sicks his minions on me and walks off. I mean, I've had a lot of people try something similar, but they run away while sicking their minions on me. Right, Galt? But they never just saunter away like, no, this is not something I can be bothered with. No, I got a 10:30. I'm supposed to punch a Loch Ness monster in the face. I do not have time to fight you right now. The only one who survives the fight is the Gamorrean, and I'm including his pants in that because he has clearly crapped himself. We try interrogating him, but this guy doesn't know dick. And I doubt that he is capable of acting this convincingly. The boss hasn't confided in them because he has 0 respect for them. The only reason they were out here was to try to learn a little bit about how to hunt to rise in his eyes. That's why he sicked them on me. They figured that I was so pathetic that even these losers could manage to defeat me. How wrong he was. So this pathetic idiot begs for his life for a while, and naturally I grant it to him. I just better not see him again. It's going to start destroying my faith in the galaxy if that happens. So without a bust, we're going to have to go back and ask Blizz again if he's got some info.
Voss took off. Let his cronies do the dying. Said I wasn't worthy.
Yeah, the guy does seem to have a bit of a one-track mind. Blizz figures that, yeah, I must not be considered worthy of points in order to kill. So in order to be worthy, I've got to go take out some guys who do have some points, and then suddenly Voss will take an interest. The first is a guy named Aor, who is operating a salvage operation, but Blizz says not to worry, he's got some friends in there that ought to be able to put some gear together to deal with this guy. Oh, he's got some kind of special droid stuff to protect him that we're going to need to neutralize. So we fight our way through the army of pirates in order to get to the salvagers.
Who's calling the shots here? I'm looking for Slam Streaver. Blizz sent me.
Blizz, you're pulling my leg. Really? I'm glad to hear the little guy's okay. Never sat right with me, what Voss done to him.
Yeah, I've been getting the feeling that Voss operates less on charisma and more by sheer terror. Anyway, this guy feels pretty bad about what happened. He tried standing up for Blizz, but it wasn't enough. So he's perfectly willing to help with whatever plan Blizz has put together.
Well, you're in luck. Everything you asked for is here. What's left of Blizz's stuff, too. I appreciate it if you could get that back to him. And tell him I'm sorry, would you?
Yeah, it's no problem. I actually kind of like the little guy. He's like a pet, but useful. Like if you could teach your dog how to do the laundry.
It's about time we pack it up. The foreman's gonna figure out we helped you, and he won't take kindly to that. We ain't much good in a scrap, and likely won't get far without someone who is. Would you mind getting us out?
Well, gee, it's not like you just laid a guilt trip on me or anything.
Let's not waste any more time.
Don't say I didn't warn you.
Well, I admit, sometimes I do this just to remind you what a pain in the ass you were. So after helping all those salvagers to escape, we head in, fight our way past the droids, and find the head crazy. If you are suffering from some kind of nut allergy, then I strongly advise not approaching this guy, because, woo, whack job. He is clamoring for revenge for killing his friends, the droids. And so, very quickly, this descends into a firefight, which he loses. So I guess it's time to go talk to Blizz again to figure out where we should head next.
Slam asked me to bring you this.
The tense music for the nail-biting, here's your stuff back scene. Lucky thing he's got that, though, because the next target is Graddock, who's working down in the smelting area, where it's so hot you need to have a heat shield to try to survive. The work is actually being done by prisoners, captured soldiers from both sides, pressed to now work in the highly dangerous conditions down there. Luckily, thanks to all that stuff we gave him, Blizz is able to whip up a heat shield to protect us during the fight. I have to say, it gives me a whole new... respect is probably overstating it. I mean, it's kind of like E.T., the way he was able to cobble together a galactic communicator using nothing but the toys he found in Elliot's room, but that's just not Jawa style at all. Jawas are kind of like if E.T. had been a redneck. Instead of making a communicator, he'd probably make a hovering ATV and crash it into a tree after 5 beers. So we head into the geologically active areas and finally find our way down to where the prisoners are at. Seeing as how they're being worked to death, they naturally want me to rescue them, but I play coy at first. Last time, the help from Slim? Other guy was enough for me to be able to easily defeat the guy with the collection of misfit toys. Now that I'm fighting where hell is frozen over, it would be nice to have a little bit of extra help, and I figure I should motivate them. Obligation is fine most of the time, but I found desperation is really good for getting across the finish line. But they don't really have anything. So I just let them go anyway. I mean, it's no skin off my nose whether or not they leave, and it will actually be a benefit if both sides see me getting their captives freed, so why not get a little good PR for practically no effort on my part?
That's quite a kit you're sporting, Bounty Hunter. Bet you spilled a lot of blood to get it. Now, whose pride did I wound so badly that they resorted to a hired gun? The Republic? The Empire? Both?
Oh yeah, the guy overseeing this smelting operation. Yeah, that's definitely what brought them together. The Republic and Empire put aside their differences because they had a deal with a foreman.
I was one of the Republic's finest, Merc. Best training, best equipment, best assignments.
Oh, that may be. But now you're just bested.
Hope you like it hot, Jackna. I'm not dying alone.
Well, no, obviously you're not dying alone. I'm right here shooting you in the head. But, I think you meant to say that you were not the only one dying here, in which case, no, you are totally wrong. Unless you're not speaking of the immediacy, in which case, well, yeah, we all die someday. It's just that you're going to die here in that pile of lava, and I'm going to die decades from now, surrounded by beautiful cat ladies on a big pile of money. I prefer mine.
Your little admirer's pretty resourceful. I've been trying to get something other than static for hours now.
You know, I don't think Blizz quite grasped the concept of what it is to be a prisoner. Anyway, he says that there's now one person left, and if we defeat them, then Voss is going to have to face off against us. It'll be a matter of pride at that point. And that is Voss's arch nemesis and best friend. Basically, this guy is Abyss and consequently is really good at regeneration. So if I defeat him, which Voss was not able to do, then I'll have earned enough credit that he's going to have to be willing to face me. Well, naturally, this guy is set up in the star-shaped graveyard, the reason everybody is fighting over this planet. Republic, Empire, White Maw, everybody is so interested in Hoth because there's a big pile of old junk here. There aren't many reasons why you would want to die face down on a big ball of ice. And this is not one of them.
Adufer, ilahokon orjest jesmiber ikik moronafne. Tre shafnir java.
Well, obviously before the guns came online. I mean, I need this job to prove that among the best, I am the best, but I'd need to be alive in order for that to really matter. He points out the obvious, that if he wanted to, he could summon in all of his pirates and easily overwhelm Galt and myself, and make our futures very unpleasant. However, I know that he's not going to do that. Killing Toyman and the Rhino wasn't just about getting Voss's attention. It was about spreading the word on who I am and what I can do. And this guy must be just as much into reputation as Voss is if he's willing to become his blood brother or whatever the hell it is. A guy like that would probably want to test his mettle against the flavor of the month. Those guns would just be to ensure that I was up to my reputation. That's why when he asks if I will join him in his special pre-battle ritual, I agree. Turning this into some matter of honorable combat only leans things in my direction. When somebody else has an army but is willing to fight you one-on-one, you probably should take it. On the other hand, if you are the one guy the boss says is going to join you in the fight, it might be a good time to mention that you've got a cramp or something and let someone else have that great honor. The fight goes well, and it turns out joining in his little ritual worked out even better than I thought. Even though I've defeated this guy, he's not going to die. The Abyss have just such great regenerative ability, it's really hard to put him down and keep them down. But the ritual means that not only are there no hard feelings here, but he's perfectly willing to cooperate with me in my plan to try to bring Voss in. It's not like it's going to be an ambush after all. It's going to be a challenge to honorable combat, and Voss is going to have to accept that. What's the alternative? To say there's the greatest prey on the planet and he's not going to try to vanquish it? Yeah, I don't see that happening.
That'll teach you not to play with your food.
I'd say this is a trap, but I don't think the lizard's ever even heard of the word forethought.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. It's just that so far he's never had to fight dirty, so he doesn't see the need to. It's just that you don't find that out until you've already been beaten. And this guy believes he is invincible. In fact, we soon find out that Three-Eyed Toyman, well, turns out the nut didn't fall far from the tree. Because this guy is so out there, he's convinced that when he dies, his massive, huge, enormous SWTOR is going to make him the husband of Scorekeeper herself. Yeah, that's the reason why I threw a little innuendo there. I honestly think that has something to do with it. Anyway, as someone who has been surrounded and had the shit kicked out of him before, I learned two things. One, sometimes you just have to cheat. And two, sometimes you're going to lose. And in this case, with the crazy guy, I figure I better set up a rule ahead of time. So I tell him, if I lose, you should still let Galt go. This fight is between us. Galt, naturally, very much approves. And this guy is alright with it so long as Galt doesn't get in the way of him being able to feast on my corpse. I think Galt will be able to live with himself.
Hey, don't look at me. Killer here dies, and I'll be looking for a new job.
Though I would have appreciated at least pretending a little bit that you were loyal. Well, he puts up a good fight, I'll give him that, but I have crossed this wasteland, fighting every single horrible thing in my way to get here. I am not about to be defeated now. Because that would really kind of spoil the legend of the Lone Rose, wouldn't it?
I'm gonna have to decline.
Oh, you know what I said to the last person who told me to know my place? I think it went something like that. If you want to, I can use the exact words.
Screaming won't change anything. Let's go.
At your filled with crazies yet, champ? I'm catching a chill.
Come on, I've got an 80-proof idea of how to get warm.
That's the best news I've had all day.
So with this unpleasant business behind us, we can finally drop this guy off and collect our big payday. The client is extremely impressed that we succeeded where everyone else failed. It's kind of the story of my life. Maybe that should be the title of my bio. Succeeding where others failed. Nah, why give away the plot in the title? Of course, there is one other thing weighing on my mind here.
What are you gonna do with your prisoner now?
When there is no longer any use for it, it'll be executed for its crimes against the Ascendancy.
And I thought working for you was a thankless job.
You're still breathing. Isn't that thanks enough? Well, I gotta admit, I feel for the little guy. I know what it's like to be treated like an animal, so I appeal on Blizz's behalf, even offering to take him out of their hair. And with a little persuading, they agree to just pardon him for all his help and let him into my custody. So the Chiss are good enough to send Blizz up to our ship, along with that check with all those lovely zeros on it. But the best thing of all is the chance to leave Hoth behind. I've got fur, and even I was freezing my ass off down there.
Well, if we're done here, I'm gonna go take a nice long shower.
Take Blizz with you. I don't think he's familiar with the concept.
The image of Mako and Blizz taking a shower together is the only time where I can imagine a grown man or woman in there and find it more funny than erotic. Before she even gets a chance, we get a call from the rest of the Grand Champion winners who are impressed. Back-to-back successes with the hardest names on the blacklist, that was not what they were expecting at all. Since I have truly impressed them, they've decided to go all out. They've rented a penthouse suite in one of the casinos on Nar Shaddaa, so we're going to go there and celebrate my greatness. A cause I can always get behind. Everyone is coming, but I've asked Blizz and Torian to lock down the ship before coming. And Mako, she wants to get all gussied up before coming down here. It's her old stomping ground and all that. So Galt and I head over early. However...
Well, party's over. We should go.
Ah, boy. You know, at first I thought maybe the fires are because the party was getting out of hand, but a dead body is... yeah, that's not a sign the party is going well. Inside, we discover the reason.
I'm sorry. They refused to cooperate. No sign of the fugitive.
No matter.
What a surprise that Mr. Life is Sacred does not give a crap that they've killed 3 people for the crime of not being willing to betray me.
Advance the timeline. Adeline, call in support. Vendus was certain you could be reasoned with. I was mistaken to indulge her.
No, your mistake is assuming that surrender yourself to execution or life in prison is a reasonable argument. Would you take a look at the pair of us here? One of us spent 30 years on the run, staying one step ahead of the worst being thrown at him, and he's the sidekick in this relationship. What do you think my commitment is to staying alive?
How high do I have to stack the corpses before you get the message?
You will not continue to murder Jedi with impunity. There will be no more even-handed offers, only swift, definitive retribution.
I'll find you. I always do.
To be honest, the moment I heard what my last assignment had been for the Great Hunt, I knew what was going to follow. The Republic would have to make some show about what had happened. Still, I knew from personal experience that so long as injustices were not happening within the Republic's sphere, they would grow bored quickly and not overcommit themselves. The fact that this Jedi, though, is personally interested in revenge means that this is going to be a bit harder. I'm going to have to probably stack up quite a few corpses before they get the message that this is simply not worth it. However, we quickly realize just how butthurt this Jedi Master is.
Hey, come here quick.
The attack claimed the lives of a delegation of Jedi and Republic officials on Nar Shaddaa. The apprehension of the individual responsible for these continued acts of aggression is our top priority. Senators, I assure you, the orchestrators of these attacks will be made to account for them.
Why did the Supreme Chancellor of the Republic just give an address about you?
Because that Jedi Master has realized the hard truth, that I am beyond his reach. He's pissed off because this galactic conflict has hurt him personally now, and he is so used to having his way that he is willing to do whatever it takes in order to see me pay. And hey, I'm not taking that personally. That's the people that I deal with every single day, after all. Similar motivations than that. It's just that unlike him, I long ago had the delusion that life was fair stripped away. So now that he's twice failed to catch me his way, he's decided to lean in on his revenge and resort to bald-faced lies to turn the full might of the Republic against the man who slighted him. Again, I'm not taking that personally. I expect people to play dirty. The only thing I am is amused that a Jedi Master is willing to crawl down here in the mud with me and to abuse his authority to further his own need for vengeance. And if you're inclined to say, but you are guilty of a horrible crime, keep in mind two salient points. First, you think that with the Sith, the Mandalorians, and the criminals of this galaxy, that this is the first time the Republic has lost a warship? I heard the Republic lost a warship to a Sith apprentice and a spy, with the only backup being an Imperial transport ship, Black Talon, I think it was called, yeah. So sure, I'm a criminal there, just like every single pirate and raider and probably most Mandalorians. Hell, I think that the senator that they mentioned being assassinated by me was probably actually killed by Torian over there. No, the fact that he's got to lie shows that in the grand scheme, I'm just not important enough of a criminal for the Republic to bother with. Their priorities are much higher than little old me. In a time when the soft conflict has led to open warfare, this guy is still more concerned with making me pay than in whether or not he's endangering the Republic by his actions. So, this is a problem for me. The Republic will see sense, but not while this guy is whispering in the Chancellor's ear. So I have no choice but to silence that voice. Again, it's not personal. I'm not happy that he killed my friends. I'm not happy that he's done this. But at the end of the day, I could live with either one if he just walked away. But the only way that he's leaving is feet first. And so I guess it's my job to ensure that he's laying down.
Here's how we play this. Get in tight with the Hutts. You've got pull with them, and 10 mil wouldn't even make them blink.
Become Hutt lackeys? Pass.
Kid, I've been ducking poetic justice since before you were born. Butt out.
Guys, we just got a high priority communication.
What's the message, Mako?
It's an Imperial summons. We're to rendezvous with an Imperial fleet in the Outer Rim to discuss our recent activities.
Discussion? Yeah, I bet.
It doesn't sound like a request.
Okay, I admit this looks bad at first. The Empire had made a gesture saying that they were going to cooperate, have me arrested and handed over for judgment. So it sounds like I'm being summoned there to be arrested and turned over. However, I don't think that's the case. What the Chancellor has just done is given me the greatest possible commercial that anyone ever could. He has stood up in front of the galaxy and declared the Lone Rose is the most dangerous and unstoppable person that there is. What do you think the reaction of the Sith is to that announcement? That this guy must be a threat to them? Of course not. They're just as arrogant as the Jedi, plus extraordinarily ambitious. What the Chancellor has just announced is that the most deadly weapon in the galaxy is for sale, and here's his phone number.
There's the fleet. I hope you're right about this.
Well, look at it this way. If I'm finally wrong about something, it should be something grandiose like this, shouldn't it? So we dock, and we're already off on the wrong foot.
My presence was requested.
I've been ordered to bring you before my lord, Darth Tormund. Submit to search and seizure and come quietly.
Don't be greedy, you can't have both, but I will give you one if you forgo the other.
Alien filth has no right to question Imperial protocol. You will not be allowed before a Lord of the Sith armed. You will comply, willingly or by force.
Alright, either I am being arrested, or this guy is just an idiot. And while I believe in this case that you can judge a book by its cover, I'm not willing to gamble my life on that fact.
You won't get away with this!
You were saying? I'm going to play the odds and assume that this guy was acting on his own stupidity, and consequently, the Sith Lord really does want to talk to me, and would be very affronted if I were to just leave now. Unfortunately, the sound of our firefight seems to have carried, so I've got to fight my way to my appointment. This must be why they always ask you to show up 20 minutes early.
I see you've disposed of your escort.
You the one who sent that summons?
You are here because I have use for you. Do not forget that.
Okay, straight to business. Glad to see it. I admit, bit of a butt pucker moment there. Sith are worse than Jedi in that they don't even have to pretend to be nice to you.
I want the Supreme Chancellor's head in my hand when I deliver victory to the Dark Council. You will provide it.
Gotta say, this guy doesn't think small, does he? Besides the wealth and glory that will bring, there's also the matter of my secret admirer.
You have made an enemy in the Supreme Chancellor's closest advisor. Do what I ask and you will have your opportunity for vengeance.
Yeah, but again, not for the vengeance, for the fact that this guy is going to make my life difficult until his ends. So with the understanding that I am freelance and therefore expect to be well compensated for all of this work, we get down to the nitty-gritty.
Some old enemies from the last war have re-emerged. A Republic privateer made famous assisting Hylo Vise break the Mandalorians' blockade. And a Coati noblewoman credited with orchestrating numerous successful uprisings on Imperial-occupied worlds.
Hylo Viz. We should really look that name up when we get back to the ship, Galt. So I head back to the ship and fill everyone in.
Okay, I've updated our astrogation computer. This is a pretty obscure system. Thanks, Blizz. I think I've got it.
Blizz is just excited to be out here. Jawas are notorious scavengers, and so it's no surprise that Blizz sees things in terms of salvaging, even bounty hunting. But even though he has that tendency, Blizz is obviously a bit more. His daring to leave Tatooine for space is rare. Only him and Dreely went with Slam when they left. And despite being betrayed, Blizz has kept a positive attitude about life. Time after time, he has only had two interests: making and fixing devices, and bonding with people. Either way, Blizz is all about one thing: making things better. His one and only lament are the items that he wasn't able to recover that Dreely stole, but finally he decides to put that to right. Mako tracks the White Maw down and Blizz infiltrates, having learned from the crew how to slip in and out undetected and how to act like you belong when spotted. So he's finally able to stand up to his betrayer, put him in his place, and retrieve his lost property. Blizz really feels like he belongs here, and you've got to agree. Blizz not only seems to be becoming a better person, but being around him makes you want to be a better person too.
Last I'd heard, Belsavis wasn't even worth colonizing. The Imperials have it designated as a Republic prison world, though.
Oh damn, the Republic really does have a space gitmo. So we head there, and we immediately find an Imperial intelligence officer ready to brief us on the situation.
Then allow me to introduce you to your target. This is Zale Barrows. After helping break the Mandalorian blockade during the war, the Republic offered him considerable latitude to plague the Empire.
Only suckers took them up on that privateer racket. There's no profit in chasing Sith warships.
Yeah, and I don't want to seem like I'm beating a dead horse here, but this again shows that an independent contractor attacking a warship is not only not unprecedented, but it's the norm. The Republic openly hires people to do that. And you have to expect the Mandalorians and the Empire are doing the same thing. So yeah, I'm sure the Republic considers me a criminal. It's just the list of criminals who do this is extremely long. And since I only did it the one time, compared to people who make a habit of it, I'm probably pretty low on that list. The only way to bump me up is to lie. Anyway, the reason I'm here is because at the moment, Barrows is responsible for delivering prisoners to Belsavis, so that the Republic can claim some kind of plausible deniability. I mean, I don't know how plausible it is. I mean, oh no, that's totally someone else's secret prison. Yeah. In any case, the Empire knows full well that it's here and is currently helping the prisoners cause a whole lot of ruckus down there, so that should provide some cover while I'm trying to find this Barrows guy. Supposedly he's in a hangar in the administrative area.
What is it, Mako? I just touched down.
I've been combing through the Imperial's network since we docked. After cross-referencing their records with data on the holonet, I hit pay dirt. Surprise, surprise. There are a lot of people locked up on Belsavis with outstanding bounties.
See what I tell you, person with the headset, that's you, Mako. Good job. We'll collect a couple of these bounties while we're down here, help make the trip really worthwhile. So after collecting a few bounties, we finally come to that secret hangar, only...
Sounds like Lover Boy's coming back. Ain't you gonna welcome him home? Hey, Zale! I like your plaything. Maybe I'll keep her a while. You ain't Zale.
Nor are you. Not unless he has really let himself go.
Talk to me or talk to the Hawk. Who'd you rather find your boyfriend?
This is a first. I've never done good cop, deranged psychopath cop before. She points us in the direction of where he's gone, so while Skadge does his thing, we go try to track this guy down.
Cut it a little close there, Em. Nice try, but you... I'd kinda hoped the first time I met you it'd be captaining your one-way trip to lockup.
Yeah, well, I like to think that infamy is just fame that hasn't combed its hair.
And cue the moron.
Yeah, and I was looking forward to trading withering put-downs with this guy, too.
Standing around for? Let's blast this place to pieces!
Oh, sure, let me just pull that proton torpedo out of my ass. A better plan is to blow up the generators. That way the force field will come down. To make sure my target doesn't escape, one of us is going to have to stay up here for when the force field comes down, and... I hate to say it, but Skadge here could probably get lost in a bathroom, so it's gonna have to be me. We get downstairs where we discover that the Ratataki are guarding the prison generators. I'm not surprised. Obviously, the ones most interested in preserving the prison infrastructure are the prisoners.
Dirty run!
It's like he's id with a face. Incidentally, if you're curious, you are looking upon the 6th member of our band. Oh yeah, I know he seems like one of those people that you have to deal with for one planet and then goes away. But no, he's the last one to join the party.
You got crummy taste and company. Bad enough with that skinny broad and the little twerp trying to walk tall. But I don't get how that squeaking thing in the bellyaching dandy ain't become target practice yet.
If you spend enough time around characters, you often find that there are subtle aspects to them, nuances that may take a while to reveal, like an archaeologist carefully brushing away sand to expose a hidden secret. As you saw, there is nothing subtle about Skadge. Skadge has no hidden depths. Skadge is all surface. This consequently makes him one of the contenders for most despised companion. And the only reason is because other companions might betray or undermine you. Skadge does so solely because of personality. Skadge is essentially the way the respectable part of the galaxy sees you. And so that can be either an irritant that he fits to their low expectations, or it's a refreshing bit of honesty in the midst of social niceties. Likewise, Skadge finds the bounty hunter's courage and strength to be respectable. And whatever his remarks, he secretly approves any time that you stand up to him. He wants to know that he's riding with a tough gang. What Skadge brings to the party, besides the willingness to beat a problem to death with his bare hands, is a connection to Black Sun, one of the toughest gangs in the galaxy. And that's not something to dismiss when you have to venture regularly into the underworld. Skadge can be an acquired taste, but at least he brings some spiciness to the situation.
All I'm saying is you and yours need something. Black Sun's got your back. Now quit making a fuss before I change my mind. I got an idea how to keep this heap talking. There's lots more junk like this thing walking around keeping the runts in line. They get built in a plant deeper in. Bet there's parts to hotwire this trash and shock some answers out of it.
At this point, it's really the best option we've got. So, Galt and I will head off and get the parts. We'll leave Skadge to go get the technical personnel, since he's such a people person. I am really starting to hate force fields. Anyway, after dealing with this...
Found us a couple volunteers!
You guys made the right decision. This guy does not handle rejection well at all. And with his face, you can imagine that he experiences it quite a lot.
Can't be serious. You want us to try and fix this? There's hardly anything here worth salvaging.
Now, I was told a lifetime warranty, and I expect that to be delivered upon. I explained that we actually just want to know what information this droid might have to help set us on the trail of that Barrows guy.
If the Imperials want those prisoners, they'll have to crack them out of the tomb. It's out of our hands now.
You can evacuate, Warden, but I spent too many years putting those fiends away to let it all be for nothing. Come on, Em. We're heading to the tomb.
Okay, well, whatever he's done to shake us, it sounds clear that he's determined to head over to these tombs. So we contact our contact in the Empire in order to find out what we can about how to get to these tombs and what it's all about. Turns out there's a whole bunch of Imperial prisoners that have been kept there, some of them since the last war. The Empire is trying to free them. This guy, of course, is trying to keep them contained. I couldn't care less one way or the other. I just care about collecting the bounty.
I ain't been waiting this long for someone else to have the pleasure of killing Zale. You get me that twerp, I show you where the law hides all the contraband on this rock. Deal?
You should let your money do the talking more often.
Don't push it. A friend takes a hike too, in case you're thinking you can pull something.
Suits me just fine.
Yeah, of course it does. You're not the one stuck with the very credible Bulk. This takes us deep inside of the prison complex, but fortunately, the Imperials think they have a bead on him, and if he's not there, they're going to keep an eye out to try to track him down for me. We're all on the same side, after all. It's one of their bosses that wants this guy captured, after all. And sure enough, we find him. Well, Skadge, looks like there might be some competition for your kill.
You know, twerp.
How did you... You are good. Nobody shoot. Truce. Look, we could settle our differences, but not right here. I have to stop the Empire.
Oh, no. Oh, your boss has declared me public enemy #1, so the Empire's my only client now. I'd write my senator if I were you. And still had hands when we were finished.
Fan out.
You're mine now, runt!
The bad part about having Skadge on my side is having to stand near him. The good part, though, is that I probably am not going to be on the receiving end of his anger. The same, alas, cannot be said for the Republic.
I would know who you are and how it is you came to our rescue.
Darth Tormund hired me to deal with Captain Zale Barrows. Him.
Your master has my thanks. He will hear of your contribution to our cause. I am Lord Andreos Thos. We are what remains of Operations Group 1. Have our forces been able to free the Dread Masters?
Huh? Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry, I've just been shackled to Mr. Congeniality here for a while, but now that we got Barrows sorted out, I'll turn my attention over to the Dread Masters. Ain't nobody on this planet does anything subtle, do they?
Been thinking about this since you dumped me on this rock, Saley boy. Got it all worked out how you're gonna go.
Aren't you gonna do something? You came here for me. What about your bounty?
Unfortunately for you, it's dead or alive. Also, unfortunately for you, you made me fight my way across the whole planet to get to you. I'm not sure I've got enough ammo left to take Skadge down if I try to stop him, so you kind of forced my hand by not surrendering when you had the chance. I could try telling him that revenge profits no one, but so far nobody has listened to that advice.
This is gonna be a real treat.
No. Please, no. No!
I am so glad that Blizz installed that Bluetooth in my helmet.
People just ain't no good. I think that's well understood. You can see it everywhere you look. People just ain't no good.
All hail your